was like, yay!
And I think we are good. Welcome. So glad you're here. Let's see. We'll bring everyone and just kind of take a deep breath. Let it flow. See all the negative energy starting to flow from the top down to your feet. Just take that deep breath and just focus in on self and just imagine you're in your happy place. Everybody should have a happy place. Trina, do you have a happy place?
I do.
You do? See, I do
I have
too.
several happy places. I've created a healing place, a happy place, and the fastest way for me to get into my happy place is through music.
Yes. And we were late coming on because we were talking about music. And anyway.
Hypnotized, Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, we were talking about the early days of Fleetwood Mac anyway, and I was jamming out, oddly enough, to Led Zeppelin. So there you go. But Houses of the Holy off the album.
Love it.
Yeah, so there we go. Hey, folks, just invoking favor upon everybody. Speaking nothing missing, nothing broken in your lives. And thank you, moderators, and thank you for everyone who is joining us. So good to see everybody. David Barry, Twisted Isby, I know Big Al, I think he's out. Hey, Kaz, how are you doing, my dear? Kaz is from over on the other side of the pond. Kaz, love to have you back on. Julianne Payne, which is on literally the other side of the world, down on. So good to see you, Julianne. Let's see. Boy, there's a lot of good people. Emperor Rex is in the house. Nine Eyes. I like that.
Yeah.
Hillary, yes, good to see you. Nina, the Mystic. Hello. Truth in Me. There's just a lot of people here, folks.
Hi, everyone.
So, Trina, what's been going on?
Oh, Grandma passed away.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I'm excited for her.
She actually departed on the 14th, and so family stuff, and it's season, so busy with work and all that, but it's been good.
How was her transition?
It was a little rough. 94 and strong will, strong mind, beautiful soul.
Yeah, my grandmother.
I couldn't believe her body was hanging on for the last 48 hours. They were like, we can't believe she's still hanging in there. But yeah.
Now, did she go in her sleep or did
Yeah, she was pretty medicated and drugged, so
yeah. And folks, when your time comes, unless it's by a sudden medical or bodily thing, that's how typically you will go.
Like you said, the body has its own consciousness.
People don't understand that, but at the moment of death, you're going to get it because your body
is going to fight.
It is going to fight.
Yeah, it's going to not want to give in. That's its protective. That's what keeps you safe. So, oh, thank God we have that within us. But when, like I said, most of us in this community, when it's our time, the body's going to know that our will be stronger.
So true. Lilith taught us that.
On us.
Yeah, she taught us that the body has a spirit of its own.
It does. It's called the ego.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it's called, but I know this is that.
I think that's how it expresses itself. Is through ego. Yeah.
I recount the story again when I went in for the endoscopy. I mean, my spirit was out. It had no control.
Yeah.
The body didn't.
Way.
Yeah.
That's cellular memory.
Yeah. So, what have you been thinking on the material that I've been covering, particularly, the Adam and Eve story?
It's so profound because, we have been, our history has been so twisted and manipulated. And, there's still so much of the context there, but it's such a different take. And I think that's brilliant. I love it.
Gotten a lot of emails. People are.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a different way to see it. You know what I mean?
It is.
And that's what we need. We need to expand our minds to all potentials, all possibilities, and start to use our imagination and our power as creators existing in the here and now moment to use them.
Well, excuse me, I can tell you that, when you think of history in terms of cataclysm, and for me, it just, again, it's another piece of the puzzle that says, listen, number one, we don't know where we came from, sadly, but I think that that's almost deliberate. I think if our species was, Trina, aware of the catastrophes that we've endured on this planet, I don't know if the collective consciousness could handle it.
I think that might be another reason why we choose to bring forth amnesia.
Yeah.
I think I think those memories would be super hard to exist with, because you might constantly be in this incarnation, constantly worrying every day, is the end of the world here? And many people do.
Oh, well, no, and that's the whole point why I'm doing it, because it's a counter to the virus that permeates the societal cultures of the day. It's primarily, mostly in a religious negativity connotation thing. But yeah, I mean, and you think about it, in our lifetimes, and I know every one of us experienced this, when you have experienced particular trauma, I experienced a lot of it as a child, the brain, the physiology of us will block it out.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's still there.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely there.
Yeah.
And that's the things that form all of the things about yourself that you struggle with, the things about yourself that you would like to change or address, but you just don't know how. And a lot of these programs are running completely you're not even conscious of them, but they form your belief systems about yourself.
It's profound. And again, it seems to be a natural mechanism within us, our makeup of this triunion being that I think that we are.
It's like you said, as you get older, you see the layers going on top of you, and it's through all this stuff.
Yeah, when I log on to my computer, I have a picture of myself in the 5th grade. And I do that purposely because it's an exercise of my consciousness. The fact that I can see myself as a 10-year-old, and I can see myself today, where, getting in the 60s now. I mean, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. And see, that's a thing when, they talk about time, and they say time is not real because everything is existing truly in the now moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're tapping into these past lives, and we're tapping into these different parts of what we think we were. And when I look at it, in all reality, it's what we are, because it's all existing right now.
Yeah.
It's profound when you think of it.
It's very deep, because to me, it's a mystery still. When we look at the past lives, obviously one hopes that is the case. And when you begin to look at humanity's place here, it's still a mystery to me as to how we got here. And two things, when I look at this cataclysm that I've known about for decades. I was a Bible student. It was just very obvious to me that we were talking about something more than just God said.
Yes.
And so you think about it, the person who survives a cataclysm would be up against tremendous odds. I mean, death would be almost welcome.
Yeah.
And I guess what my point I'm trying to get to is, who's coming back and seeding us?
I think the ones who seeded us originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do think there are seeders.
I don't know how else it could not be.
I've seen some of the seeders too, like some of the most powerful seeding comes through the sexual magic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one day we will teach on that, but we'll have to do it very discreetly. But how I see it, it's powerful, because
It's how we all got here, Wayne.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
manifest little gods.
It's an amazing thing. I don't know if we figure it out when we transition. You know, we hope we do. We hear people who have near-death experiences coming back and recanting their experience, and I've come down to this conclusion. It's whatever your reality is going to be.
Precisely. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you believe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like I said, belief has been, even belief, the word is so twisted, but
Yeah.
but it's like when you truly believe something in your heart and soul, in your gut, so strong that nothing can move that, nothing can shake it. It's a force that nothing can stop.
I read decades ago, I forget who her name was. She wrote a book, I Went to Heaven, and it was her experience of what she experienced in heaven. And one of the things that she said, and I thought it always stuck with me, was that she said that there were cities of people that never interacted with other people. And she asked her angel why. And the angel said, you can't mix souls, and specifically was saying they were in their time.
Yep.
They would never understand your time.
Yes. That's like when I told you I have memories of doing soul retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this was. The consciousness would evolve in that place.
Yeah.
And then they would call out and be like, because it was like they woke up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they'd be in one of these realms where these people that weren't communicating or whatever, and for whatever reason, they would wake up within their own consciousness. That's why when they say you have to do the work here, you can't do it there. I don't think so. I think it's consistent throughout the entire process, because I saw souls that would wake up in these lower realms and they're like, what is going on? And they would wake to a different vibration. And when they would do that, and this is, like I said, this all comes from within you. Nobody can save you. You have to save yourself. It's about your vibration, and that shift within them that they produced is what sends out the call. And then we're made aware somehow that that soul is not in the right level. And then they're like, go get them. And then you're sent to go get them.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy weird, but I've seen this before, and I've seen this in my visions. Since I was a kid, I saw myself pulling people out of different astral realms and bringing them to new ones.
I guess one of the questions that I, ponder on as you begin to see the next phase coming in, and that has always been the question, does a person really need to be saved? I mean, to me, there is a purpose for being here. There is obviously, I'm beginning to see some things that I had not considered before. Evil. We take a person who is evil. You can take it down on the meter to just being mean and nasty, to one who is manipulator. You go on from there, and then you get to the psychopath and murder, etc. Now, what we're finding out and we'll be finding out as we continue to read this Adam and Eve story on the science side of it, and apparently this is something the CIA has known about, is that as the electromagnetic field continues to collapse, it's going to induce violence into human beings.
You know what? I'm wondering, I wonder if they don't know what the effect is going to be, but maybe the effect before caused those, because I wonder, this energy to me, Wayne, it feels, if you can't process it, I think it's going to start anxiety in a lot of people, which can cause those behaviors. But for me, this energy feels more like it's an enlightening energy, like it's going to wake you up.
Without it's interesting. They
hope
did a
so.
study, a scientific study with mice. And what they did is that they put one group of mice, group A, into a normal environment where the electromagnetic field is balanced, what we're used to. In the second group, B, they put them in an environment where representing the same reduction of the magnetopause, Earth, and what they found in that group B, they became cannibalistic. Wow. They became murderous. Forcibly, they found sexual deviation. Now, these were among mice. So the CIA took this study and did it in humans. Same effect.
Yeah. God, we have to shift the frequencies.
Bingo. I mean, and that's why the topic for the day is, joy. You know, I was having this conversation last night with Lynn, and we were talking about this, and she's a director where she's at. Mm-hmm. Joy in the employees that she has to hire and deal with, and just in the overall environment, it's lacking.
Yeah, because everything's about fear. Am I going to get this job? Am I going to get fired? Can I make my mortgage payment? Everything in this environment is fear.
Well, you take their patients as well. I mean,
yes, they're dying.
Yeah. Yes, everything. I did say that there was one who experienced joy before the transition.
Yeah.
See? That's why I ask you if you had your safe place, because so often joy is...
it's so funny, Wade, when you said we're going to talk about joy. It was so funny. When I was a little girl, I saw this huge, beautiful angel. And I says, who are you? And she laughed. She says, I don't have a name that you could pronounce. And I said, oh. I says, how come I see you all the time? She says, because I watch over you. And I was like, oh. And I says, okay, if there's a name that I could use that you would know that I could call you by, what would that name be? And she laughed. She goes, if I could give you a name for me, it would be Joy. Joyelle. And I says, oh, okay. And then, so that apparently later I found out that was my main guardian angel. And she's
interesting.
Joyelle. Yeah.
Joyelle. So, as I see this, it again brings out a lot of competing ideologies and theologies on male-female spirit realm. Mm-hmm. And it's, I've heard the thought that says, well, there really is no sex in the spirit realm. That's not what I'm getting at. There's clearly male, female.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. No way.
I don't buy it either.
I see cosmos as being seeded by sexual unions between God beings. So how could that be possible? I
agree with you.
As above, so below. Everything here is based on procreation. It's consistent.
Well, and and that was from the
Nagamati?
No. I'll think of them in a second here. It's amazing. I just lost the Naga. On the script that simply says that the male-female aspect of it is the whole thing. Apparently, Earth is very well suited for procreation, which is sex. I mean, I don't know how you're going to do this without sex. I mean, maybe it's K-Pax, where they say it's very painful. I don't know.
Well, that's why they say the universe was created through the Big Bang. Yeah, it was a Big Bang, all right. Uh-huh.
You could almost interpret that into an orgasm.
That's exactly what it is.
That moment of climax, and particularly if the two energies are in sync, it becomes very explosive, very creative.
Yes. And that's what I've seen. I mean, and I think that is in the worlds of form. And those go into some of the lower levels of the other dimensions too. You know, 5.
Oh,
6,
I'm sure. You know,
there's still bodies there, right? And they get more subtle as you go up. But I think you're going to have these sexual unions until you get all the way up until you're going back to pure light, geometry, sound, vibration, wave essence. And you know, I don't know how often that happens. Probably just until you're going into a new body system, whatever.
there was one yogi or someone who had wrote that basically we are atoms that have a dipole within the atoms, and that is the sexual energy. That's it both compels and it both expels.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, and if you look at this metaphorically for the universe, you know, the Big Bang, to me, I get it, and it's so easy. Mm-hmm. I step myself, and it's like I'm looking down at this happening. So, yeah. I mean, to me, it's not that far fetched. I mean, my spirit can see it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and it says we're all the sons of God, creations of God, creator, you know, children of creation. Children of, right, requires mom and dad having babies.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like I said, I think it goes up pretty high.
I like the translation where it said it was God, which could be creator, could be source, could be whatever you want to add to it. But the interesting word was intent.
Wow.
I don't know if you caught that. You see, it wasn't that God said, God created man, and none of that. That was added by the Jews. Right. And today people think that.
What did it say again? Intent?
Intent. It specifically says, I'll pull it up because I'm doing a great deal of study on this, and
yeah, that's interesting. I'm like,
it will blow your mind because I'll pull it up so you can see what I am talking about.
That makes sense. It's about the thought, the intention. Oh, that
yes, it's where do I want to go? I want to go down to.
It's just like when you're doing magic, and you know, a lot of magic requires the end of it is or the manifestation part is the orgasm, and
it's the intent.
That's what I'm saying. That makes a lot of sense. The Big Bang with the intention. Oh wow, yeah, that's magic.
So I'll pull this up because I just, you know, I
just heard, Wayne, lightning and water. I keep hearing lightning and water. Something's happening right now on this planet between the lightning and the water.
I think something's happening a whole lot.
You're right.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
So it says here that, you know, I like how when you read the Naga, and yes, there are people who still speak the language in Indonesia, and there are some in South America. Isn't it interesting? They said the most curious thing about this stone where they found the original story is that it fits the legend that Adam was a widower, and the name of his deceased wife being Lilith.
That to me was like, yep. You know, just my inner knowing was like, yep.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay.
I've always known that she was the first mom. Once I started doing some research, because I was understanding there was more than one Adam. So then I started thinking, well, is there more than one female? And then it was Lilith. I was like, oh my goodness, because she was before Eve.
Yes. Apparently she's Eve's daughter as the
that was mind-blowing. That was his daughter. Oh my goodness.
It is, and you know, folks, when you go back and you look at the Liber Lilith series, this is exactly what Lilith said, that Eve was of her womb.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's my kid. Wow.
Yep. And then you get into it, and again, Lynn and I were talking about this because it's deep, because it says that basically our species is an incestuous species. Incest is something that in survival has no moral or social morals to it.
Yeah.
Now, the point that I was taught so this is how it reads in the original, as he scrolls down to find it. Here we go. I just found this to be most interesting. Let's get right down to it. So the first cataclysm has hit. We know what we can date that about 11,500 years ago.
Wayne, what if that's the original sin?
Well, you got to look at this.
That's, they say we're all born in sin. I wonder if that's why. Is because we were created from an incestual relationship, which most say is a sin. I don't know why. That's just running through my brain right now. I'm like, that's pretty profound.
It's deep. It's deep. Yeah. It really is.
I'm like, wow, holy moly, that makes a lot of sense. Why everything would be such a train wreck.
It kind of, yeah. So, so verse 3, it says, as the storms abated, sunlight came back to the face of the earth as God intended.
Wow.
Now, it's real interesting when you get down to verse 5, because if you go and read the modern day Christian sanitized version, this is God said, and there was. No. It says, and sunlight was again daytime, because God, if the creator is going to violate the laws of physics, then he's a fraud or it's a fraud. Yep. It can't say the universe is defined by a set law of physics and then it goes and violates those laws.
Yep.
So, and look what it said.
Wow.
In accordance with God's design.
Yep. Copycat.
And I'm going, okay. And again, God's original design was that there be sky between the clouds. And this key word here, the original design.
Yes.
You know what that is? I don't know what that means. What is the
it's
original?
Man. And man is the image of God, and it's the image of, and it's.
But it's not the image of God.
Feminine, but it's man. It's a man. That's what I see. I don't know. I can't validate that, but I see the original image, the original template would look like that, kind of like the Lord being human, just a human template of man. And then you have man and woman, which there's no difference between the two other than one has a womb. They're identical.
I've read though, where the original man was hermaphrodite, had both a.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The first ones had everything within them. Yeah. That's what I saw. That's what I saw.
I guess now I know where the term "go fuck yourself" came from.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, I dropped an F-bomb. Boom.
Yeah, I love it.
So I don't. But all right, if you argue with me, tell me how. In verse 26, it says, "In accordance with God's design, man, not Adam, man, who was created in the image God intended." Yes. Not in God's, they switched it.
Yes, and that's what I mean. The first template I see is androgynous, and it's man, and it looks male and female together, but it's strong. It's strong, so it looks kind of man to me because it's strong.
Yeah, and again, it brings out. So are we talking the singularity of the hermaphrodite here, man, or down in verse 27, it says, so it was God's design that man who was created in the image God intended, again, not his image, both male and female who would survive the cataclysm inundation.
Yep.
Trina, I think about these things, and I know others must think about them as well, is that, if I'm just going to be candid with you, if I had been taught this originally,
mm-hmm.
You know how free that would have just made us? Do
you know how many people, too, that are struggling with this transgender stuff? It's like if they truly knew that they're both, that's why they resonate with that other gender. It might help a lot of people to find wholeness in who they just are as who they are, that they don't need to change anything to be whole, that they're whole the way that they are right now.
I tell people, don't define yourself by your sexuality.
No, you're both.
It's yeah. And some people can't handle it. I've met a lot of heterosexuals who just can't handle the fact that the instinctive basic layer of both male and female is bisexual.
Yes, we are both.
Grow up, you know?
Yeah, we're both. And it's like, yeah, we're expressing one or the other because this is you have to make procreation in these bodies. So we have male and female for very important procreative reasons. But the essence of us is all of it.
Now, in the Kabbalah, belief is that angels, archdemons, archangels, are in fact hermaphrodites. They are both sexes.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that fully.
There are stories of mortal men having relations with angels.
Yes.
We got the one story in Genesis 6.
Yep.
We're going to get, and that's not what it is either, folks. But yeah, I know we're getting into, well, it's life, folks. It's just the way it is. And
bottom line is what brings most people joy: good sex.
Now that is an interesting point. So I was a part of the video industry for nearly 2 decades, and what the consumer doesn't realize, VHS, the DVD, the CD, everything, even now in VR, virtual reality, all comes from the porn industry.
Yes.
All that technology is people masturbating or having sex to an industry that was using technology on the consumer, and it was the consumer who made the decision. You know how they made the decision? By buying it.
Yeah.
And I'm just being very honest with you. It's 60% of the internet traffic is driven by pornography.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean. Joy and sex, a lot of that, they go right together.
I find it odd, and as I used to teach this, but I'll bring this out because this is a second look. If you study the reason why there was never a Jesus, because we have no evidence. And let me just bust everybody's bubble. So King Herod was known by Rome to be the king who had the mandate. Every child from the age of 4 to 17 went to school. They were taught mathematics. They were taught astronomy. They were taught basic skills of what we would find today in our education system. For Rome, this made Judea very valuable because the population was not illiterate, as was common in many of the territories of Rome had. So they were some of the best artisans that came out. Now, the thing is, and this is why we know the story, we know a lot of reasons, was fabricated. Out of the thousands who supposedly saw this Christ, not one picture was ever drawn, not one casting on any vase, which was typical. And here's the other thing. Jerusalem was a trading route from Rome to India. It was the central cosmopolitan trading routes of the Silk Road. Mm-hmm. So enterprising entrepreneurs would set up shops along the highway. It was a road the Romans literally built. And you would find a rest stop where you could spend the night. You would find places where farmers would have literally a food side, tent or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what they found in the restrooms? Mm-hmm. Pornography.
Yeah.
On the graffiti.
Yep.
Now, what's so interesting about this in Jerusalem itself is the same thing. Was pornography was found in the graffitis and the what have you, which was the expression of the common man. There were never no drawings.
Wayne, when you look at the neoclassic art, all those, I have pots in my backyard that are Greek, like the old neoclassical, and there's porn on my pots.
Yeah, literally. Well, and we call it porn, but actually it was celebrating of the female.
For a long time, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. I have porn on my pots. I'm like, yeah, it's like, it goes back as far as we do.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Trina.
Bottom line.
So, because, I did the one video, it said, the questions I have for the other side. And the one thing is that, do spirits eat Can they smell? Can they taste? And the one question is, can they have sex?
Yes, I think they can do all of the above. Depends on how high you go in vibration if you're still holding form. And then I think once you get into the extremely high vibrations, you can probably choose the form you want to animate. But you got to figure if everything's existing now, we're existing in multiple places, experiencing multiple things as consciousness. And your consciousness is unique to you because of the experiences that you're having in form and into the higher energetic layers as well, because you're existing there too, having life.
Aleister Crowley said, and I have his book on sex magic, that a proper wizard, magician, witch, sorcerer, who understands the, as he said, within that small container is, he said, the universes.
Yes, I'm telling you, that's true. As above, so below. Like when the sperm hits the uterus wall and the egg and the sperm, and when that comes together, it's lightning in the bottle.
Well, the thing is that they're vibrating.
Yes.
The spermoids are actually vibrating. We see them, but they're vibrating at that, and so is the egg.
Yeah.
This is heavy.
Those two universes coming together.
Yes.
I'm like, that's going to be the big bang when they come together and they mix their energies. There's going to be a boom.
I tell people all the time, if you want to practice some sex magic, if you're in a relationship, if you need something material in your life, and sometimes don't look for specific, but make sure that your circumstance, I say speak favor in the middle of the climax, particularly if two partners come together, that's saying that, we have favor manifesting in our lives. I'm going to tell you what, you talk about materializing manifestations quickly. Boy, have we gotten off the... Well, it's joy.
And how to create joy. And that's another thing you could say, I'm choosing at this moment to create the biggest charge of joy that this planet can handle, and I'm going to send it forth.
Yeah, I'm just reading there. You reading some of the comments?
Yeah, manifest. That's a powerful moment of manifestation. Use it to your advantage and the advantage of the world.
Yeah, it's so true.
We're just letting it go to waste most of the time. Most people don't even understand what a powerful moment this is. It creates life. You can create charges on this planet that will literally transform this world if done right and done right. Highest good. Yeah.
And not in there. There's a difference between what I call lust and seeking joy. I mean,
lust is serving self.
Yeah, it is. It's
right. Creating joy or manifesting through sexual stuff is it's like everybody's going to win on this one.
Folks, that was worth the price of admission times 2.
Yeah, everybody's going to win.
Woo, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Getting mighty warm in here. Mighty warm. Yeah. Okay.
I like a win-win situation.
How's the weather down there, Trina?
It just got hot all of a sudden.
Yeah, it did.
Oh my God.
Oddly enough, I do want to bring this out. You're talking about frequency, right? Are you there? Okay.
Yep.
So Pythagoras considered that music contributed greatly to health if used in the right way. He called his method musical medicine.
Yes.
To the accompaniment of Pythagoras, his followers would sing in unison certain chants. At other times, his disciples employed music as medicine when certain melodies composed to cure the passions of the psyche, anger, and aggression.
That is such a powerful truth.
Wow.
That is literally, even think about it, like when we're preparing for some powerful, good sexual unions, a lot of times what's the first thing you do is you turn on the music.
You turn on the music.
That's
Isn't
it,
that
man. You
a
started
fact?
activating your internal rhythms and your internal sounds. And there's certain music that just helps those emotions start to stimulate in your body. And man, music is so potent and powerful.
So I still like to dance. And, music, again, is a powerful igniter
Yes.
thing that I would say.
Oh, I think it's one of the most powerful.
So when we're talking about this resonance of two individuals bringing together their life source energy, there's also an opportunity for healing in that.
Yes.
Aren't we clever folks? See how we brought this in? And you thought we were just talking about sex.
Nope.
It's a lot deeper.
Yes, it's bigger than we understood.
So I found this interesting. All cells emit sound as a consequence of their metabolic processes. There is an interaction between the cell's own sounds and those imposed by the environment, including those applied by sound healing devices, such as what we use here. There's bowls, etc.
Yep.
The resonance principle relates to the cellular absorption of the healing sounds and or their harmonics. I contend that within sex, since we're talking particularly if you have a couple or whatever, and if you can find a partner that would have the same understanding, I think you can build your healing harmonics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We create life through this.
Yes.
Not even consciously putting any effort into it. It's just like, oops, I'm pregnant. Really? Yeah. So no, this is exactly one of the most powerful forces that we have to utilize in this physical world. Think about the power and the energy that came into being at your conception.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
And that's what I see as men. They always told me when 2 points of light come together, and that can be sperm and ovum.
What?
Yeah, when 2 points of light come together, something new is created, a new creation. That's beautiful. That's an amazing, powerful thing. That's why when you showed those two universes coming together,
yes.
I'm like, whoa, something's getting ready to be born. That's beautiful.
Hold on a second, if I may. Dancer, what do you want? Do you have to go outside? Well, Trina, can you take over here while I go?
Absolutely.
And, it's, hey, listen, if we were in the opposite position, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We would want to have someone let us out. So I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
You take over.
Take care of the baby.
All right.
Yes. Okay, everybody. So Wayne's leaving me hanging, but that's all right. So,
all right.
Talk more about this whole sexual. Well, how do we find joy? So joy, one of the most greatest ways we find joy is love. And love usually involves sex, hopefully. And through that, that's one of the strongest ways that we are truly creating on this planet. So I think it's very important that we learn and understand that that power is one of our strongest, greatest powers, and really start to utilize your power and give that power to the things you want to see show up in our world. Because I truly do think this is one of the strongest forces of our creation, other than what we think about, we bring about. So joy, we are lacking joy. There's not a lot of this matrix is consuming our time and our energy, and it keeps us away from the ones that we love because we're busy working and we're busy doing what life requires of us. So with that, most of us, we're depleted with joy. We really don't have joy. And it was so funny because one of the things that they told me to help revive my joy was to remember things that brought forth joy. So anything that you can remember that brought forth joy in your life is your joy anchor. And I know many of people will go to sex for that, and that's beautiful. Embrace those moments of joy. And when you want to create more joy in your life, imagine the joy you had and see greater joy.
I love that.
Exactly. Yay.
I love that. And as you were thinking, you know what brings me joy?
What?
And it's not happiness, it's real joy. It's chocolate.
Yes.
I
Food.
mean, oh.
Yes.
There are.
Food. Yes.
Mm.
Moments, memories, good food.
Yeah.
Just simple things. Walking in nature.
You know, another smell, because it's that it brings you back to that place of joy, is the smell of fresh cut cedar.
Oh, yum.
I love that smell. And redwood, I mean, you know why? Because it takes me back to a place in my life where I was truly happy, you know,
That's awesome.
and you know, but it's so powerful, isn't it?
I think our sense and our images are what have made us who we are. Those moments that you capture, they really do form you.
Oh, they do. They
Form
do.
everything about you. So, you know, most of us, especially as we get older, we have so many things that we've experienced. We're running in those loops of what happened before. You know, we're constantly going through these programs, and we're not spending enough time focusing on forward projection, on what we want to see, how we want to feel, because it takes work, especially in this environment, because we're getting hit hard with some dense stuff.
And I think it's going to continue, sunshine. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, and Trina, you know, I was someone sent me a video from the channel Strange But True. Interesting channel. I love those little vignettes.
Yeah.
But one of them was a story about a guy who, I think he was 12, 13 or something, was hit by a car and died. And actually went up, and he said it wasn't heaven. But he said it was a very active place, and it was people that were he met and he knew from past lifetimes, enemies even.
Yep.
I found that one odd. How would you know if you had
Well,
an
I think, remember, like the villain, we got to have the villain for this whole play to work out. So some of the people that are your best friends, they were like, all right, dude, I'll go be the villain for you, you know, and they come down and they perform their task.
I love that. The antithesis of our existence. Woo, I like that. I'm going to write that one down. Anyway, he said there were three beings who came up to him and said, you know, you're not supposed to be here. And he said, you know, the main guy, he said he was almost like he was the elder of the whole group. And anyway, he was allowed to ask him questions, and he said that they would allow him to carry the memories. And the first thing that they said, because he didn't want to leave, they said, you're under contract.
Yes. I told you.
Where the freak did that come from?
We are. I swear we are. I've seen this contract thing. I've seen it.
Well, apparently it's universal.
You wrote it. You wrote your contract.
Apparently we did this.
Council of elders. You know the elders where you saw the stone and those elders?
Oh.
That's your council of lightweight.
They talk to me all the time now.
That's your council, and they should be talking to you, and they're probably very grateful that they can talk to you, because most people, they don't hear them.
Yeah.
And they're assigned to you, for you. And for somehow, it seems to me that whatever you do in this incarnation, because we're contracted together, somehow it affects them too.
It does. Apparently it does. And you know what?
Yeah.
They like humor.
Yeah.
I had this spoken to me that, you know, laughter is the strongest, most powerful magic you can use.
Yeah, you know, that council, Wayne, I'm starting to see this connection, like our council of light that we each have, like our own guardian angel we each have. There's many things that you have. I'm starting to see that the council of light might be the guardian over each one of your energetic bodies. And then the guardian angel is the one over the physical.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And all of a sudden, I keep seeing that they each control one level of your energetic body, and that's how they always know what's going on with you, and they literally can help guide and influence you through the connection that we have through these energy layers, and each one of those beings is directly working with that layer or level of your energetic body.
I believe that.
Profound.
Well, I mean, the thing that I encourage people to do is to lay hands on yourself every day. Listen, this whole idea of understanding that the spirit body is, if you get into a unison with the spirit body and your immortal soul, there's a romance there, baby.
I've been doing that, Wayne, lately. I've been thinking about those being my council of light. It even makes sense your council of light would wrap your physical body. I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense to me. So I've been focusing the last few days on really connecting with my own personal council of light. Ooh. And I swear to you, it's bringing a DMT response with those tingly chills in the top of the crown and through the body. Yeah, I'm getting DMT releases through it. It's like they must be jumping for joy. I'm onto something.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to this.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the whole picture you can see where joy comes in. There's no room for depression. There's no room for anxiety.
And I think part of our joy is not being alone. And when we start to connect with the support and what we truly are as incarnated humans, I think that's a key for more joy.
I think it is. Boy, I hadn't really thought about it, but if joy was a substance that could be contained, you would probably want a big reservoir of it, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, and I think joy comes through your sacral. It's orange, and it's the sacral part of you. And maybe that's funny because when I asked about joy, I was shown my guardian angel.
Your guardian angel.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and as I look back, and I, if I've told the story about my aunt, the same thing, that, and as we're talking, I guess there are also certain people that bring joy. They have that essence of joy about them. Mm-hmm. Would you not say? I mean,
yeah, I think that's one of my essence colors, because I literally saw myself come in through it like an amber golden ray.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sacral, and that's joy. Joy is orange. Yeah.
Boy, if we just get in tune to this in a level, I think you could almost begin to physically manifest light in essence.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I know too, especially with the right technology, you'd be able to fully see it.
I think you would. I mean,
I've done that where they photograph your aura, and it's amazing. The colors around you are representative of what's going on with you at that moment. Because if you go like later, like a year later, and you're in a totally different place, your aura will show this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I keep on thinking, in past situations that even in business, where heated discussions get in and you start getting that level of anger and that tension, and it's palatable. It literally is.
Everything's turning red.
Yeah. And then to be able, and it's a natural mechanism that I do, I always inject humor in a very intense situation because, and that humor, that as I'm sitting here, humor is associated with joy, making you happy.
Yes.
It absorbs so many lessons as I look back now and say, man, if I had just known that, 10 years ago.
Yeah, and you were doing it and you didn't even have any conscious awareness of it.
No.
You were doing it.
Part of who and what we are.
Yeah, your inner wisdom that knows more than we do.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, more than what we can even begin to explain.
Yes, our inner wisdom that knows much more than we do. I don't know how to make my pancreas work. I don't know how to make my heart do what it does. I don't know how to operate all the chemicals and endocrine systems, and I have no idea how to do any of that. But yet it's operating perfectly within my being.
And I think that the spirit body, when it knows it's loved, appreciated by the soul, which we would call, the essence of who we are, it does that job. And I think it does it even more so.
It does it with joy.
Bingo. That's what I was just saying. It gets joy. It receives joy. Yeah.
Yes. It's like when you wash your car, it drives better.
All the time, doesn't it?
It even feels the love and the care you're giving for it. Changing the oil, putting new tires on it. It knows these things. I don't know how to tell. I mean, how, but it does.
I'll tell a story of my NASCAR days. Michael Waltrip, when he was driving, him and Darrell Waltrip, when they got together, was something. But Michael Waltrip said something that was so true about washing cars. He said, the way men wash their cars is more passionate than what they do when they're making love to their wives.
It's true. I've seen that.
Oh, yep. Yeah. I mean, you're taking tender care.
Yes.
Loving.
Sure, it shines in every spot. All the chrome is perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid you not.
So I'm telling you, the relationship that you have with yourself ultimately will be the most important relationship that you ever worked on in your life.
And folks, that's why words are so important. I heard someone tell me once that they said, well, words are not important. And I said, really? I said, so your name is not important? Nope. Your name doesn't, because you're just given the name. And when you die, you're done. I said, and it was a guy. I said, are you married? He says, well, yeah. I said, have you ever called your wife a different name while making love to her? He said, well, hell no. She'd kill me. I said, names mean a lot. Words mean everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, try that one out. Let's see how unimportant.
Yeah, see how well you got that.
Yeah, let's just see how that works out for you.
That's that expression, Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Isn't that the funniest thing, too? Because, like, certain things you're like, oh, that's not important. But until something like that happens to you, then you're like, oh, my gosh, you will never see that again. Now. But like I said, that popcorn, all of us are experiencing the different stuff.
Miss Trina, we have covered the freaking spectrum here. I mean, this has just been, listen, and it's true. Guys, and and women get into it. Women love their cars just as well. I mean, I knew one person that was rich enough that actually got buried with his car.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going, really? Really? All right. How's that driving for you?
That's when they love an inanimate object so much that they give it a thought form. And I literally do. It becomes more than it was through their intentions, through their focus, through their, energy.
A servitor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're creating I had never seen that again. This show sometimes is like, continued, enlightening bombs. Boom.
Yeah, we trigger the thought bombs in each other's brains. It's like, oh, wow.
It's like the neurons are just absolutely firing and, at full level, Scotty,
Yay. I love when that happens.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on too, guys. I don't know if you can help me with this, but I keep hearing the call out to reclaim or reconnect with Vulcan. So
the what?
Vulcan. It's a planet.
Yeah, Vulcan, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess they say it's the will of God.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those hidden things that might control our chemicals and the dark matter part of us. So I don't know.
I get up at pretty
stuff out with that, but I keep hearing it, and for some reason too, they keep telling me this was a very important part of our genetics is Vulcan. The human genome that we are now. Vulcan, I guess, apparently was a big part of our creation point.
Well, you know what I've been doing?
What?
When it's, not cloudy or snowing or what have you, but the Palladian cluster is literally right when I walk out my deck. And so I've been spending, 5 minutes or so just meditating on that. I'm pulling out my telescope to actually get a better view of it. But yeah. So
I've always been fascinated with the Pleiadians. I got a psychic reading when I was like, I don't know. I was I wasn't young. I was a young adult. And they told me that I was part Pleiadian. So I kind of started doing some study on that. And that's a beautiful, Pleiadians, the seven sisters, the
yeah,
seven
it's beautiful.
candlesticks. Yeah, the creation.
Yeah,
I think they are like in South Africa, they say we come from 6 females. All of us come from the cradle of civilization. They're saying, and now it might be from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The Pleiadians are the 7 sisters that match the cradle of civilization on Earth. That's what they show me. So it's like a match.
Who knows? Maybe they are, in fact, the cedars. Who knew? Who knows?
I think they were actually the womb part of it. Like the cedars, I think might have been more Vulcan and different stuff, but the actual wombs that brought forth the creations might have been the Pleiadian 7 sisters.
That just brings all sorts of mental imagery to my mind. You can really go tripping on that.
Yeah, then I see 7 rays of creation. I see 7 candlesticks, the 7 oil lamps, the 7 days of the week, and then I see the 7 sisters. Because all creation comes forth through the female, but the masculine has to give forth the sperm, the spark, the information, and then the female catches that information and creates form out of it. But yeah, so I think these 7 sisters might be maybe the 7 original mothers of this universe of creation of form of human being type things.
I was just getting, when mankind dethrones the patriarchal mindset and returns it back to the balance of the matriarchal, that is when we as a species may actually be able to ascend and maybe escape the next one. I really am convinced that the Generation Zers, the millennials, they're looking for something. They're looking for something that could be potentially tangible in a manner. And I think that if we could start respecting the feminine as a society, as a culture, as a consciousness,
and not putting it in a dominant position, putting it in balance. To balance that. We need to embrace both aspects.
So I was, in my Hebrew studies, one of the names of the Hebrew God is El Shaddai. And the El Shaddai literally means the multi-breasted one.
Yes.
That's what it means.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you say, well, my God is the God, the El Shaddai, what you're saying is that my God is the multi-breasted one.
God. Yeah.
And what that means is that it means you will live totally satisfied.
Yeah. And it also means multi-breasted. It's like the milk and honey, the milk of life. Different breasts would feed different points of creation because it needs different nurturing and different sustenance. But it all comes forth from the one multi-breasted being.
And you see, only women can handle breast. Men would literally, we would stay home and play with them all day. The whole freaking world would collapse. We wouldn't care. And that tells me the power of the feminine folks. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Shout out as well as to Miss Lisa D. Morgan and so many others that are out there. But yes, anyway.
Yeah, all right. I love you all.
Trina, take us out as we wrap this up.
Like I said, one of the biggest sources of my joy is you all. Thank you, soul family, for being here. We love you, bigger than life. And like I said, lonely existence until I found you guys. So thank you, because you are a great source of my joy.
Wow, that's far out.
Yeah, great source of my joy.
And I just think y'all are just groovy souls, and it's just good to have a group where, free thinkers, love, joy can be passed around and shared, and I like that. All right, folks.
We're all just trying to find our way through this crazy mess of amnesia we got going on.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to be back next Tuesday, so.
Love you.
everyone. We'll see you later. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And